YouTube, another week, another episode of Hot Takes. Here we go, live with Twitch chat. Remember, come to stream to get your drops. You get the Sombra skin and maybe some more drops by the time you watch this. Who knows? Okay, first hot take. At lower ranks, preventing your team from turning on each other and keeping up team morale is arguably more important than being skilled at the game. Okay, first of all, phrasing. Second of all, arguably more important, agreed. Emphasis on the arguably. Well, I wouldn't say more important, but equally important, or one of the factors you have to consider. If we take this hot take at face value in a vacuum, it's a pretty hot take, because I would not say it's more important than being skilled at the game. You can be out of voice, doing your own thing, and climb. People do it. It's annoying to play with, but it's doable. And if people are, turning each other on, eating each other out on the team, they're playing the wrong game and they're on the wrong website, first of all. But second of all, if they start arguing, that's when you just be like, shut the fuck up, play the game, leave, defend the person getting flamed by being like, it's all good, just focus on the game. You try to raise the morale. Those cases are definitely more rare than cases where like nobody talks, people are just expressing their skill and their hero and their mechanics. So definitely not more important, but one of the factors to consider. Honestly, with Manga's fire, Mauga? Oh, this guy auto-corrected some Manga. Mauga's fire, shouldn't ball catch someone on fire if he hits at full speed? Or would that be too broken? Not really a hot take, but I'll answer it anyways. That's a good question. Mauga's incendiary flame, he crits anybody on fire, right? We know Torbjorn, Coom is on fire, it allows Mauga to crit. Ash's Dynamite allows him to crit. So does Wrecking Ball's fire allow him to crit? I'm 99.9% no, but like I'll put it in the Mythbuster anyways on the main channel, because like now I'm thinking, who knows? What if that's one of those weird sneaky interactions? Next one, actual hot take here. Okay, the rank system is worked to work against you. Unless you're a GM1 or top 500 player, your games are really inconsistent, especially with match balancing. You get rolled or you do the rolling. Rarely will you get a balanced close call game. A little bit of a hot take. It's not like, it's definitely anecdotal where people definitely feel like it's a lot more snowbally or getting rolled or counter getting rolled. There's less even Overwatch in this case, but I think it's because in the 5v5 environment compared to 6v6, individual skill expression is a lot higher. Like in a 6v6, if you're like kind of fucking up a little bit, you make up like 16% of the team versus like 20%. If one person's not performing well, especially like a tank, for example, you can definitely feel the effects of getting snowballed more frequently. I would say it's less about matchmaking and more about 5v5. It says unless you're a GM top 500 games, it definitely still happens. There's a couple of games earlier that it was complete rolls. We did have like 2 games today that were really close and it was down to the wire, but that was 2 out of 10. I think it's a hot take. It's a kind of not the correct take to say it's the rank system is worked against you. No, it's just an algorithm to kind of pit people against each other based on a certain rating. In any case, the new system's coming out in February anyways. New hot take. Sombra was the most fun to play in her 1.0 form before her first rework that gave her the infinite translocator. The stealth was very fun to use, the time limited and much higher movement speed, and the possibility of your translocating expiring after 15 to 20 seconds added a sense of urgency to every engagement. She was definitely weak power level wise, and the way hack worked was a problem, but the other parts of her kit were much more interesting and had much more depth than they currently do. This is not really, this is like a subjective take. I don't really think it's a hot take. Like some people really like the original 1.0 form, and by some people, I mean it might just be you. I don't know a single person in my inner circle that says they preferred the initial version of Sombra in 2016. I personally, as a non-Sombra player, can only speak for myself. That's what these hot takes are. These are personal takes. I actually like this new 2.0 Sombra, or whatever, 3, 4, whatever version of Sombra we're on right now. Whether that's more annoying for players to deal with is another separate question. Like, I'm sure it's very annoying for like if one of you poor like silver Annas walking out of spawn, getting virus and getting instantly deleted. But her effectiveness actually goes down at the higher ranks because the biggest weakness, the biggest way to beat a Sombra, the easiest way to beat a Sombra is to just peel and turn around. But that's a little difficult depending on the skill rating you're playing. Your supports just have to be hyper aware and hyper vigilant and just play Kiriko. Kiriko's Suzu got buffed, so when you cleanse or Suzu a negative effect, right now you heal even more. You go from 80 to 110 healing. So if you're getting hit by a virus or you're hacked, if you can survive the hack for 1.5 seconds, just strafe a little bit, your movement matters, you Suzu yourself, the Sombra is like pretty much screwed. She has to either commit to you or she'll pretty much have to throw the translocator away. Then you chase her down, call her out. I do think the old Sombra was like, I think she had a terrible win rate because I think there's just too much downtime. If you don't find any opportunity within your 15 to 20 seconds, even if you have that sense of urgency, you're forced to just take the TP back or risk losing it, and you would find Sombras just like doing nothing for too long. And I think this current new Sombra is even better. This is 1.0, the one you're mentioning. There's like the 3.0, like just before this rework, where like you could still plant your translocator infinitely, but a lot of Sombra players fall into the trap of always TPing out too early, and they take forever to build EMP, and they're just too much downtime where they do nothing. And the new one forces you to keep engaging and keep chucking viruses out. So I think it's a bit, I actually like this version more. Okay, next hot take. One-shots are fair in Overwatch 2. Despite what people think about one-shots, Overwatch 2 is still an FPS game. Overwatch 2 should be a skilled shooter-based game where both abilities and aim are important. I actually believe Overwatch is doing a good job on keeping this philosophy. Yes, Hanzo can get lucky one-shots, but that's the nature of projectile-based heroes. If you get one shot often, it's probably your fault anyway. I think it's hard to play a shooting game without a sniper. Like, sniping is just like a quintessential thing for a shooter. I think Widow's okay. Like, she has her strengths, yes, she can pick you off. But her weakness should be that she's diveable and she's easily punishable. So right now, 175 HP seems pretty reasonable. I think we should keep her there. They nerfed the maximum range. I would say Widow feels more fair because she has bigger weaknesses than someone like Hanzo, to be honest with you. I've mentioned this before in these hot takes because people have this hot take all the time, but I actually am more annoyed at a Hanzo one-shotting me than a Widow. Because 99% of the time, they're just spamming in a choke. They were kind of aiming roughly at me, and I just happened to strafe back when he was actually, like, he missed me, but, like, he just had weird, like, he was off, but I just so happened, because of the travel time, walked into a one-shot. That feels annoying. I don't know if, like, that's something they want to do with Hanzo, but, like, his normal charged arrow could not one-shot anymore, and you can give him some power elsewhere. Like, you want to keep the arrow bow fantasy, but like, you know, but it's true though, if you do get one shot all the time, it's probably your fault for, like, you know, your movement. Like, sometimes there'll be points where you can't play the game, you can't peek. Getting domed a few times, sometimes your fault, sometimes their skill, but like, if you get domed all game, like, you have to make a slight adjustment, you know what I mean? Oh my god, I just glanced at this hot take. Okay, this one's a little spicy here. Power creep is a good thing. People doom about how power creep is killing Overwatch 2, but honestly, power creep keeps the game fresh constantly. Without power creep, we'd be stuck in the same meta for years, and Lifeweaver proved that no one wants a hero launched in a weak state. So a hero raising the power floor isn't an inherent bad thing. Yeah, that's a pretty hot take. That is a very, very hot take. Holy crap, this is some Samyang bulldog sauce noodle hot take. No, just no. Like, what? Power creep is not a good thing. You want a balanced creep. You want to release a hero not with giga power, but a balanced power. Hello? Yes, Lifeweaver proved that no one wants a hero in a weak state, so it's not about being... You don't want to release a hero in a weak state, you don't want to release a hero with, you know, too much power. Maybe, like, a little slightly on the stronger side than, like, in the middle for a new release, because there's too many factors to consider. There's hero mastery. People are playing the hero for the first time, so it's hard to calibrate right off the bat, right? With people learning how to play the hero, and then also people learning how to adjust against the hero and learning how to counter it and play around it, right? We can shit on Blizzard for some of the things for a lot of the things they missed the mark, but they were pretty good at, they're pretty quick and they're pretty transparent, right? They released Malga 2-day test. They did a lot of things to calibrate during the BlizzCon weekend. They're like, okay, he doesn't feel that good. Their data suggested that he was doing better than they expected, according to Alec Dawson, which we saw in the interview like a few days ago. I wouldn't say power creep. They're like, let's give him some power and see what happens. He's not in ranked yet. And then people are like, okay, this is too power creeped. And then literally 1 week later, they already nerfed him. They're listening to feedback, they're iterating, they're considering all these new factors. So, yes. Ooh, interesting take. I think Hog's new ability is the most unpolished rushed change ever, immediately implemented into comp or the game. It doesn't even have an outline to indicate if it's a friendly trap. I actually like the Pigpen ability, so I disagree with that, but you're on the right track with the take about the indicate if it's friendly. That is something they need to fix. Like, You actually can't tell. Having 2 Roadhogs against each other, and then I look at the ground, I'm like, wait, is that mine or is that theirs? There's an indicator, but it's not like the VFX. So this is not even just a hog and them rushing their change. It's more of like an Overwatch polish right now. They need to start looking at their VFX and how their abilities engage in the game. So that's something. It's less about like the design change from the trap. I actually think it's pretty good. It's more of a, I don't know what team takes care of that, but then we need to start looking at maybe is it UI, UX. Hot take, Ball needs his adaptive shields to literally build a spherical shield around him instead of giving him overhead. This would make him more resistant to CC and give him an ability that could help his team in some situations, which are the two main complaints about Wrecking Ball. And make him like D.Va so that Hammond lives when his mech is destroyed. So you're telling me a rolling spherical, so if I'm a Wrecking Ball, you're telling me I can spit out like a 4-way shield, one in front, one above, one on the right, or maybe a rolling one, like a complete rolling shield, a moving Winston bubble? Depending on how much HP it has, you guys say this is a hot take. This is actually like interesting to me. We're cooking here a little bit. Like the burner is turning on and the bubble, the water in the pot is starting to like fizzle a little bit. You know, we might be able to iterate off this a little bit. It sounds kind of cool. Now the second part though, make it like D.Va where Hammond lives when his mech is destroyed. That one's a little bit too much. They've mentioned it before. They're never doing a hero like D.Va again because it is bug city. Any software developers or engineers, they had nightmares trying to like code D.Va as 2 separate entities. It is like spaghetti code. They're like, we're not fucking around with this anymore. It was just not worth the effort and the time. I think Jeff back in the day said in an interview, like it is just, they had teams spend days, hours, weeks, years, and she's still buggy sometimes. But yeah. Removing Reaper's speed boost when in Wraith form would be a buff, not a nerf, because it would no longer be prevented by added ability restrictions like Hinder, Grab, Flux, Junkrat, Trap. It used to be that he could Wraith form in these, which was perfectly fair because he used a valuable ability to not take damage. What? Those are 2 separate like game states. So this is a pretty hot take. Having speed, having a natural increased movement speed in Wraith form is fine for him. In fact, he needs it. He has no gap closer besides his teleport. Losing speed is like a huge nerf. It's actually just an Overwatch 2 wide change. It's not a Reaper thing. It was actually Grav being changed where you can nobody can use their abilities out of it anymore. They made it so like those effects just stop all movement. So like removing his speed wouldn't change anything. They're coded as a separate like layer. Same thing with Mora fade. Yeah, Mora used to be able to fade out of Grav and Flux and anything. It's just they made the tank ultimates stronger because right now tanks, they're the only tank in the game, right? You only have to run 1 tank in Overwatch 2 instead of 2. So they had to make their ultimates stick people down like Flux, like Grav. Not cooking with that take. Hot take. While I agree 5v5 has its ups, 6v6, oh, here we go again, more 6v6 debate, could probably help if the defense role returned. But instead of our older defense characters like Mei, Bash, and Torb, it would be tank characters that have no shields, like Junker Queen, Ball, Hog, bracket, if the rework does give them one, this one's a little old. While the tank role gets renamed to shield role. So it's like a forced role lock, but if one person picks the shield role, the other person has to pick the off tank without a shield. Nah. Next. Zarya bubbles from Overwatch 1 were better than Overwatch 2 with a self and teammate bubble. You had to actively look for the teammates to use your other shield. Now with 2 bubbles that are on the same cooldown, most Zarya's tunnel vision, especially in metal ranks, and run it down without looking to peel for other teammates. And it felt like she had more bubble uptime with her teammate bubble being a faster cooldown than her self bubble. Now it feels like her bubble uptime is worse since they're on the same cooldown. Nah. This is also a nah. This is just a skill issue on the Zarya. It's about determining what's higher value. Actually having 2 bubbles with the agency, your own choice to self-bubble yourself twice or have 2 teammate bubbles versus old Zarya where it's 1 personal, 1 ally. So I only have 2 choices. But if I have 2 bubbles, I can choose double bubble for myself, that's 1 choice. Bubble 1 here, bubble myself, that's a 2nd choice. Bubble this guy, bubble this person, That's a third choice. Bubble the person, and then bubble the same person again. That's a fourth choice. More agency and more player interaction increases the skill ceiling, in my opinion. The Zarya tunnel visioning is legit just a skill issue for the Zarya players who just have not adapted and learned how to play the hero efficiently with her new shared bubble system. Next hot take. They don't need to give Cassidy a lasso. They need to give Hog a cowboy skin with the hook as a lasso. Is it lasso or lasso? Lasso. True! Not a hot take. Good take. W take. W's in the chat for a good take. I love Jeffrey Kaplan. Rest his soul. Doesn't that just mean like he didn't die? But I ain't gonna lie, I think I prefer Aaron Keller. The communication and the straight up transparency for development choices Aaron has been providing makes me feel hopeful for positive changes. Can we get an F in the chat for Jeff Kaplan? I feel like recently this is the best Overwatch has felt for me. There are not great changes at times still, but a lot of them I find both intuitive and good. Sombra's rework as a main of her shocked me. 5v5 is much better and they aren't afraid to backpedal changes like May's primary. Just wish Blizzard helped Team 4 out. Also, Aaron helped make King's Row, so I think a lot of us fell in love with Overwatch initially in 2017, 2016 because there's nothing else like it. And with every live service game, there's going to be ups and downs. You have to evolve. You have to adapt. It is honestly uncertain how the things would be going right now with Jeff here. We could just do all this, what is it called? Wishful thinking, ifs, buts, what ifs. The only thing you can like confidently say right now is what the game is now. I mean, we can daydream and we can be Delulu all we want. If you're Delulu, just stay on TikTok. Okay, this is the reality now. Is there a word for that? Am I a realist? Is that what it is? And I think the current direction with Aaron, he's a good leader. Everybody I've spoken to at Blizzard, I mean, I've spoken to Aaron. I love Aaron. He's a great person. He really cares for the game. He is so passionate. I've shared the story before, but every time I see Aaron at events, every fan that comes up to him or wants to shake his hand, he will engage in like very long conversations, and the line gets extremely long. And like, it's one of those like, hurry, like, it's kind of like, you know, the Game Awards where like, hurry up, wrap it up. But he respects people's time and the fact that they love the game. He loves chatting. Like, he's an incredibly passionate person. And every person at Blizzard who's worked with him says he's honestly unbelievably great to work with and a great leader. And I will commend their communication. There's a new, they do director's takes all the time. The entire team is communicating way more than they ever have in the past. There's going to be ups and downs in the live service game. Like I said, we definitely went through some winters. The whole cancellation of PvE, everything was not good. Definitely a lot to criticize, right? I'm not saying like I'm not sucking everyone off because I want to. I'm doing it because like I do think you're left with the pieces that are here and we just can only press W. We're not pressing S anymore. Constant hero updates, balance changes, iterations. We're getting patches. We're getting hotfix patches like this pretty damn frequently. Just got to move on. And the thing is, people also grow up. Like some people found the game, the 6v6, more fun because like they found it fun during that time, but they probably just they're gaslighting themselves into thinking 5v5 is worse. Now, I'm not saying for everybody, but I will say I feel like this may not be true. Just my Delulu take. That people are gaslighting themselves into thinking that 5v5 is worse because they like 6v6. But that's just because there's nothing to compare it to back then and because they were younger and their interests and tastes change. The first time you immerse yourself in like World of Warcraft or an MMO, there's nothing else like it. So you're like, this is so great. And then people go like, man, I miss the old WoW. But that's because you have nothing to compare it to. There's so much competition. Your dopamine receptors are already fucking juiced and drained out right now. So they're just like, well, why do I not like it anymore? Oh, it's because it's 5v5 and not 6v6. If it was back to that, like the game would be great. But no, when it was 6v6, the game pretty much fucking died. Well, for other reasons too, like no more updates and like, you know, all the resources into Overwatch PvE. But that's I don't know if my Delulu take is real or not. Maybe you guys can affirm that, like, maybe I'm alone in this thinking, or maybe I'm giving a hot take. But yeah, I mean, I like 5v5. I also liked 6v6, but I can't firmly say 5v5. Well, I like it better now when I look back, because I think I like 6v6, and I played so many custom games of 6v6 lately with custom mods that kind of changed the heroes back to how they were. I watched old 2018 Overwatch League footage with Orisa, Sigma, 2 Shields, Bastion, Baptiste, Mercy, Thing. I'm like, dude, this is chaos. How did we do this? Because there was nothing else like it. And now that we've tasted the other side, it's hard to go backwards, you know? That's my take on that. That's all for this week's hot takes. Leave it in the comments in the video for more hot takes, and we'll answer them next week. Ciao.